Hello, everybody. It's me, Jamila, the IEP coach. Tonight, our topic is um, finding appropriate childcare for children that are autistic. Now, before we start, please like the page, the IEP Coach LLC. Please share this live. I know there are a lot of people that will be interested in viewing this live and hearing the information. So please make sure you like the page, the IEP Coach LLC. Please make sure you share this live. I know there are a lot of people that would like to. Again, there are a lot of people that would love to view this live and get the information. Feel free to put comments, share your comments or your questions in the comment section. Also, please make sure you come back tomorrow because I am launching my ebook, Master the IEP Volume 1. I'm super excited. I know it's a great resource that I know a lot of people need and a lot of people will benefit from. So, again, make sure you come and see me tomorrow. I'll be launching my ebook, Master the IEP, Volume 1, A Beginner's Guide to the IEP. And make sure you like and share this live. Also, if you are seeing this live for the on the replay, please put in the comment section hashtag replay, so I know you're catching it on a replay. And if you see me turn to the if you see me turn, I have my other screen up just so I can share the live as well. You do the same. Wa alaikum assalam, Nashia. I hope I said your name correctly. And my guest is arriving momentarily. So let me go ahead and share this live. Share it on all of your social media platforms. Let me share. I'm going live. Okay, I shared it. Also, it's Autism Awareness Month, so please make sure you also check out my page, the IEP Coach LLC, on Facebook and also on Instagram. It's a lot of information on the page. I've been sharing myths about autism. I've been sharing facts about autism. Any shows that I know that highlight actual individuals with autism. They have been, I shared the show Atypical. I shared that show because it is a show that highlights a family that has an autistic child and how he's navigating high school. It's a great show. If you have not viewed it, to actually go ahead and view it. That is a great show. Also, I've been sharing just other information that I find that I think is very helpful. So please make sure you check out my page, the IEP Coach LLC, for all of the updates and all of the posts that I will be sharing during Autism Awareness Month. Excuse me. Thank you all for tuning in on Tuesday with my guest Quasia as we talked about school culture and autism. And tonight we're going to be talking about childcare, finding appropriate childcare for your child with autism. And my guest is here. So and I'm going to bring her in. Here she is. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah.
All right. So tonight, again, our focus is the focus of this discussion is finding appropriate childcare for children with autism. So before we begin, Thomasina, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, just what you do. I did not want to butcher anything, leave anything out. So you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
I am Thomasina Lee, different owner of Different Expectations Educational Services. And under that umbrella, we have Different Expectations Childcare. And our mission is to service children that are on the spectrum along with their neurotypical peers in my family childcare program.
All All right. Thank you so much. So, first things first, tell me about your connection with autism.
My connection with autism began years ago, back in 2000 and I don't know, 6. Um 2006, when I was a residential aide at a residential home to a young man that had autism. Here it is, many years, decades later, I have a son that's diagnosed with autism, Tahir. So my connection to autism is my son Tahir, who is diagnosed with autism back, I can't even remember. I can't remember when he was diagnosed. Wow. I can't. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. It's gonna come back to me. It's gonna come back to me. So that is my connection. My connection to autism is because I have a child that is on the spectrum.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So what was that experience like as you were getting him diagnosed? What made you decide to go and get him diagnosed? Like what prompted you to go ahead and do that?
Okay, Tahir, he was developing as your neurotypical child, hitting all his milestones, and I want to say between the I want to say around 18 and 20 months, somewhere in between there, I noticed like his change in his diet completely changed. He would eat everything: chicken, fish, um, eggs. He would eat everything. And then his diet changed. He would only eat oatmeal. So that was one thing I noticed. Another thing I noticed is that his behaviors, and he would just pace back and forth. And I'm like, okay, why is he just first I just thought, okay, he's just being a boy. He's just running around. Okay, that was one thing. Then another thing I noticed was that his communication. I was like, he's not communicating, and he would repeat after anything that you say, he will repeat it. And I was like, this is not normal. Working in childcare, I was like, no, something is not right. And then I took it upon myself. I was in community college at the time, and I was taking a class, and I had to do a research paper on autism. We had to pick. We had to pick, like, I think it was like water pollution, and she gave us a couple of things to pick. So I picked autism spectrum disorder. And the reason why I picked it, because I thought something was wrong with my son. So as I'm researching, I'm learning like, oh, these are the signs of autism. Because back in 2006, that gentleman he was an adult, but seeing it as my son, these was the things that he was doing. And I was like, okay, as I'm doing my research, I'm matching them to what Tahir is doing. Okay, it says not loss of appetite, loss of communication, no limited social skills. And I was like, oh my goodness, my son has autism. And I
Mm.
mentioned this to his dad, and he was like, nah, he's just a typical boy. Okay, I mentioned it to my mom, and she was like, no, boys are slower than girls. Don't, you're digging too deep. Don't think about that. But in the back of my mind, I kept saying, something is not right. I work in early childhood education. I've been doing this for years, and there's something in my gut is telling me something is not going. He's not hitting his milestone. Something is going on with this kid. So what I did was, I pulled the M chat offline myself, and I did the M chat, and I was like, oh yeah. And then I was like, okay, I brought it to his pediatrician, and she was
Mhm.
like, well, did you call ChildLink? And I was like, I did that. I contacted ChildLink, and she was like, okay, so you just contact ChildLink and you see what they're going to say. You get the early intervention services, and have them do the evaluation, and you take it from there. So that was my journey. Once they gave him the evaluation, they didn't give him the diagnosis initially. They waited till he was 3, but I seen all the symptoms and the signs.
Right. You're like, and you wasn't in denial.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
wasn't
wasn't
in
in denial.
denial about it. A
Okay.
part of me wanted to be. A part of me was like, yeah, having everybody like, no, even my friends was like, no, he just developing slower. Boys, you're used to girls. You have all girls, so now you have a boy,
Mhm.
and boys develop much slower than girls. And I was like, something not right, something ain't right. Oh, excuse me, something is not right. He's not hitting his milestones, and he did a totally 360 from a child that was communicating with others, sitting at the dinner table, eating with our family, and engaging and socializing with not only with his relatives, but with peers his age. And I was like, he just did a 360. He did a totally deep 360. So I had to get early intervention services. I had to get them involved.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Now, how old is he now?
Tahir, what is wrong with me? I don't know how old. Tahir is 7. Is he 7? Yeah, Tahir. He's 7. He's 7.
He's 7 now. And what grade is he in now?
Second. He's in second
Second.
grade.
All
Yes.
right. So he's in second grade now. Now, when you first, so you have your son, you got him evaluated, you find out that he is autistic, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let me get him early intervention supports. Now, were those early intervention supports provided in a childcare setting, or was he at a particular location with other children that were getting early intervention services?
He he was with me. He was with me in my child care program until he turned 4. And then he went to Elwyn. And he went to Elwyn because I work by myself. I have my own program. Like I said, it's a family child care. And it was beginning to be a lot on me because I was um, giving him more of my attention because he required more of my attention. And I was doing my best. I was engaging him in with his peers. Um, but it was a lot of prompting and,
Mm-hmm.
reevaluating and bringing him back and redirecting with him. And it was like, okay, I'm losing focus of it's like, how can I say it? I was what was I doing? I was giving him too much attention, and then sometimes I was giving the children that were in my program less attention, or either it was I was giving them too much attention and I wasn't giving him enough attention. So what
Mm-hmm.
I had to do was, one thing I had to do was stop taking infants. That was number one. I could not take any more infants into my program because that was a sensory issue for him. When an infant would cry, he would instantly close his cover his ears, and he would rock, or he would go up to the infant and like do like this with his hands. And I was like, okay, that's a sensory issue. I can't take infants anymore. um but what was the good thing about that was early intervention services came in. So once they came into the program, and here I always had somebody here with me. So he had speech therapy here, he had his special instructor here, and he also was getting OT here.
Mm-hmm.
So it was somebody here all the time. So that was the good thing. And I was talking to one of my girlfriends, and she was like, because I was going to keep him here, I was going to homeschool him, and she was like, you are putting too much on yourself, you cannot do that, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
have to let that baby go to. She was like, what about kindergarten? And I was like, why? What do you mean about kindergarten? He get homeschool. And she was like, no, you're not going to do that. And I was like, I can't find a program that is going to suit his needs.
Right.
And she was like, have you looked? And I was like, I went to, what I did was I went to visit the kindergarten, my neighborhood kindergarten. And when I walked into before I even got in the class, like all the way in the classroom, it was sensory overload for me. And I was like, he's not going to thrive, and he's not going to thrive in this environment. First of all,
Mm-hmm.
it's too much going on in here. And then another thing was they didn't have the supports in place for Tahir for the level of support that he needed. They only had a speech therapist that would come once a week for half an hour. And I was like, that's not going to work for him because he needs more support. OT, they didn't have OT. They didn't have OT. They didn't have
Yeah.
the support. in
Like
that
they didn't
school.
have too much anything.
No, they didn't have the supports in the school. And the who was I meeting with? I don't want to say the director. What they are called? What do they call? I don't know why I'm drawing a
What, a
blank.
mobile therapist, a TSS worker?
The, no, not the TSS worker. The special education support in the school. After he read his IEP and everything, he said it. He said, I can tell you right now, Ms. Lee, we don't have the supports for the level that the level of support that your son needs.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I said, how many kids in this classroom? 27 kindergartens. No, that is not going to work. So they gave me, they basically, after we had that, I visited the kindergarten class, and I really had to fight and advocate for them to give me the list, because he was like spoon feeding me stuff. Like, okay, here's a school, go visit that one. And I was like, can you just give me the list and I'll go, down the list myself and see what schools, call them, go down the list. And he was like, no. So I had to go over his head. I had to go over his head.
Onto the list.
Yeah,
Like
I had to go over his head and get the list of other autism support schools that were in. Well, I asked for the tri-state area. It didn't necessarily for me have to be in Philadelphia. I asked for the tri-state area, but that was a long fight, because Tallhead didn't get into school until November. He was supposed to start in September. He didn't get into November because the schools that I visited, they didn't have the support.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have the support that he needed.
But you wasn't just gonna have him go to a certain school. Just go to
Yeah.
a school that, here's
Oh,
the school.
let me back up. Because what they wanted to do in the neighborhood school, well, what they did, let me back up. What they did in the neighborhood school was send out a special education teacher. In the meantime, while I'm looking for schools, send out a special education teacher, speech therapist, and OT. That's what he was supposed to be getting. Mm-hmm. Special education teacher came when we found one. She came about 3 times, and she came after school from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. But in the meantime, I had to set aside time to teach him and still run my childcare business. So when the children went down for nap, I would teach him then, and still engage him in the lessons. But what was on his IEP, I had a binder that I made up of myself. I'm doing VB map with him myself, VB map that I printed off of Teachers Pay Teachers, doing the VB map with him. And then the occupational therapist never showed up, but was building the school.
Wait, he never showed up, but was billing the school.
Billing the school. When we went to the IEP meeting, and he was like, "What about such and such?" And I was like, "Who is that?" And he was like, "OT." And I was like, "Never met him. He never came. Never came to my home a day in his life." And he said, we're getting billed. He never came. The speech therapist, she did come. She was phenomenal. She did come. We collaborated a lot. She gave me resources. She was awesome. And she was also a mom of a child. Her son didn't have autism, but I want to say Down syndrome, if I'm not mistaken. It was Down syndrome. But she was awesome. But to get him into a school, it was a hard fight. Like, I visited several schools throughout Philadelphia. I was up in Woodhaven. I was in Franklin Mills. I was all over visiting schools, and I took him with me. I was taking him with me, because they want to evaluate him. They want to see how he is. And one particular school, I just knew that I was like, I didn't like the atmosphere in Tallhead, because he kept pulling my hand. even before when we went in and sat down, when this one particular lady walked in the room, he was ready to go, and her vibe was just off. And I was, and she, it just, I was like, I'm glad he's not a fit. We wound up leaving out the meeting anyway.
Okay. So you just shared your journey about him being in school, getting him into school, finding the right place for him that has the support that he needs. Now let's switch gears and think about the toddlers, the children who
Mm-hmm.
get diagnosed. Let's say 2 years old or something. They're getting diagnosed, and the parent is like, "Okay, my child has autism. My child is 2 or my child is 3. They're not school age yet."
Mm-hmm.
So, what difficulties, if any, did you run into when you were? And I know you say he was in child care with you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you try for him to? Did you try for him to go to another place? Like, while before he was school age, did you try to find? You said he went to Elwyn, so someone who's in the same situation as you but doesn't have a child care. They
Mm-hmm.
don't know about Elwyn or anything. What are the difficulties that they will run into when they're looking for childcare for, it could be autism or just a child that has special needs? Like, what would you say are the difficulties?
I think the difficulties within the childcare arena is first of all the support. You you're not they may not have the support, and the teachers and the staff directors may not have the knowledge. That's what I see. They don't have the knowledge of they hear of autism, they may hear of Down syndrome, but they don't have the knowledge to support that child. They feel as though if you just put them in a classroom with their peers, they'll thrive. But it's certain things that that child needs, certain supports and accommodations and modifications that you're going to have to do for that child to thrive in that environment. Because I know with childcare, everybody likes their classroom to look pretty and have it set up a certain
Want to
way.
be cute?
Yes, they want it to be cute and have tons of things, decorations on the wall, and have every toy or every learning thing out. You can't do that with a child that's on the spectrum. You can't do that with a child because that sensory load. It's like they're not going to be able to thrive because it's so much in the environment. And then not only on top of that, put them with other kids, the children that's running around. Now you're trying to teach them in this environment that captures their attention because it's so much around them. I feel like the support and the knowledge, like childcare educator, childcare staff, they need to be educated. Early childhood education staff need to be educated on that specific disability, on what it is, and whether it be autism. You need to know how to support that child in the classroom because they're going to need a lot of support and prompting and redirecting. You also they're going to need one-on-one. They're going to need a lot of one-on-one because they're going to need a lot of attention because some of the things that their peers is going to do, their peers may get it, but you may have to do it in a different way for them to understand what's going on and how to learn.
Okay. So I hear you say that, okay, it's the lack of knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and the lack of proper resources in the
Yes.
childcare. So, have you had any experience where you may have supported a friend or you had someone come to you and you actually see it for yourself, the issues that are going on in particular childcare? Can you
Mm-hmm.
share about that?
I just recently had someone approach me last week to say my director wanted me to ask you because you come into our program and teach the teachers, train the teachers how to work with autistic kids because we have autistic children in our program. And she was like, to be honest, we don't know how to support them. She was like, it's so many behaviors that they're having and we don't know what to do. So that's the thing. They need the support in that area.
Now, do you feel that many childcare, whether it's a family daycare or actual childcare center, Do you think they are very welcoming to have the support in their facilities and in their programs?
Well, so I'm going to be honest. From 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 what I'm hearing now, they don't want to let the early intervention specialists in. Why they don't want to let them in is I'm hearing because, well, they come at the wrong time. Um, we, we don't have the space. We don't have a certain room where they can go. But it's not like that. The early intervention specialists are supposed to support the kids in the classroom that they're in, along with their peers. You're not supposed to. Why are you taking them out the classroom or having? I mean, you may, to be honest, you may have times where if the child is easily distracted, you can take them away for a few minutes just to get them back on track, but you want to put them in an environment along their peers in their natural setting. You don't want to take them out. So I've been hearing a lot of early intervention specialists come to me when my son was not even my son, even the children that I have in my program. They say, well, what's going on? Can I ask you a question? Why do childcare providers, why they don't want to let us in? We're not DHS. And I was like, because maybe they have something to hide. I don't know. I said, I can't answer that. But then I asked her, well, what time do you come? A lot of times it's what time do you come? And if they have other kids, they have to work in their schedule. So one particular early intervention specialist stated that she had to come at nap time. She had to come at 12 because she had another little boy from 11 to 12, and then she moves to the next student. So that was the thing. I think it's more so of them not understanding that that service is needed to support the child. And if they collaborate and work together, that they can help the child. Like on the, what is it for early childhood education is the IFSP. Yes, the individual
excuse me.
Yes, the individual family service plan. I said, if you're all you're and a teacher and the parents, y'all collaborate and you work out a time and y'all work together. How? Because it's all about servicing the child. It's all about getting the child the proper services that they need so that they can thrive in the environment that they're in. Because you want them to meet their goals. You want them to thrive.
Very good. And I'm just going to put in the chat what IFSP stands for. It's Individual Family Service Plan. That is the plan you have. That's what you have when you're in a childcare setting or early, K to 5. Excuse me, K to 5.
3 to 5.
Into 5. Excuse me. Before your schooling.
Yes.
It's that time. I apologize.
I know. I understand.
My voice is a little raspy. I apologize. We was having some activities at school today. I am competitive, so I was screaming for my students to win. So I kind of lost my voice, but we're gonna get through it. So yes, I've heard that too. You know, I was just sitting with someone. We were talking about it, and she was asking me, you know, there are some daycare providers that will say, oh, we can't service your child or we can't take your child or whatever.
Oh, I heard that too.
And she was like, isn't that against the law? And I'm like, wait. I said, hold on, let me check. Because I was like, I know IDEA is, you know, the law. And I know that's for, you know, that pertains to public schools. But I said, I said, in regards to childcare, early intervention, I said the kids get early intervention, and I said they are able to come into the programming. So I was researching, and I was just like, oh, I came across the Americans with Disabilities Act, and I was like, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, child care facilities, daycares, they fall under the ADA, where they have to provide the service. The only way they don't is if it's like an extreme case where they cannot. It's like, okay, your facility
like a medical.
Not. It could be medical. It could be a safety issue as well. But you have to get the support for the kid, and you have to allow the support to come to your programming. Again, unless it's like a severe thing that would make you change everything that you're doing. that's different. They will require a different setting. But child cares and daycares, they're supposed to support the child and allow the support to come in. So anyone who does not, they are in violation of
Yes.
the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yes.
And I was just like, I was researching, I was like, wait, I said, because it's like, with private schools, they don't have to adhere to
Yeah.
an IEP. They're a private school.
They
But
can do whatever.
because you get money for your daycare, you're getting and these students are getting early childhood, not early, I keep saying early childhood, early intervention, excuse me. You're in early, they qualify for early intervention services, which is from the state. Like, you're supposed to, they have to get that, so you have to service them. And it's like, okay, so I'm like, okay, if I'm a daycare provider, like, why wouldn't I? And I can understand you might be afraid. You're like, listen, I don't know, that's just not your lane. You've never worked with children that have special needs, and that's understandable. But the service providers that come, they assist you, and like you said, Thomasina, working together to figure out, okay, how will we best support this kid? And it's like, I don't see what's difficult about, okay, let's say speech has to come, OT has to come. Let's even say this kid has to have a one-to-one. What is the difficulty in you sharing your program schedule? This is our routine. Here is our schedule here's our daily schedule. This is what we do. And they can tell you, oh, you know what? I'm going to come at circle time in the morning, or I'm going to come at story time, or I'm going to come at this time, so that way I can support you. And maybe it could be a thing where you are watching them first, and then they can explain to you how they are supporting this kid, how you can reiterate what they are doing to support the kid in the child care facility.
That is true. A lot of things that I've learned is from early intervention specialists coming in. I mean, I learned stuff from school, but it's nothing like having hands-on. So they taught me a lot. And when I would take the children on trip, I would ask them to go. If we're going out in the community for a walk, I ask them to go. I was welcoming them in. It can be overwhelming. I'm not going to lie, overwhelming to have so many people coming in and out, but the goal is to support the child. Like, I had my own son was getting 3 different service providers were coming in for him. Then I had another little boy at the time. He was getting speech and OT. So we had 2 speech therapists at one, in my program, and 2 OTs. And it just was, I mean, we collaborated. The goal is to collaborate together so these kids can thrive and meet the goals on their IEP. And I would ask the parents that, can they have the IEP meetings here? Like, can you have the IEP meetings
the
here?
IFSP, the IFSP.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
I was like, not in school yet.
Yes. Can they have it here? And if the parent said no, can I come to your home and sit in an IEP? And you want to come? Yes, I do. I want to come at this meeting, the IFSP meeting, so that I can know what's going on. And then I had one particular parent that she didn't want me to come to her home. She didn't want me to come to the meeting, and she didn't want to give me a copy of the IEP. So I had to make a policy. So, like, if you want your son to continue to be here, and you want me to, how can I service him if I don't know what's going on?
I don't know what the goals are.
I just get a snippet. Exactly. I get a snippet, an hour to 45 minutes that his therapist is here, but I need more information. Like, me and the therapist is exchanging information of what he does and what he doesn't. Where can we support him? But I need more information from you, Mom. And in order to do that, I need to be able to attend these meetings.
Exactly. Now, when I was talking with my friend about it, I was as I was reading about the Americans with Disabilities Act, because I just shared it in the comments.
Okay.
It's basically what child care providers need to know about disability laws, and it says here, it's basically saying it's illegal to overcharge a family if they have a child with special needs, to charge them extra
Yeah, you can.
because they have special needs. That's illegal to do that, because you're then discriminating against their discriminating against them by making them pay more. Um, you have to make reasonable modifications to your policies. Now, some people might say, "Well, that's not reasonable." It is. Some of the modifications are very reasonable. It's not anything major. So they require to make reasonable modifications, practices, and procedures within their program. And it says a modification to your program is not required if it would fundamentally alter the goods or services. So it's like, if it's really gonna alter every single thing that you're doing, like, and maybe cause your business to become something else, then it's like, okay, you're not required to, and obviously then that child will have to go somewhere else. But you're required to make the reasonable accommodations. You can't charge parents extra because the child has particular needs, and they may be exhibiting certain behaviors, or they may have particular areas of need that you may have to do something extra in. Also, it was saying architectural barriers must be removed. So you have to make things readily available, accessible, to your facility. And then auxiliary aids and services must be provided unless that creates a undue burden. And some people might say, "Oh, it is a burden." I'm like, it's not a burden. It's not a burden for a speech person to come in to your facility and do a speech session. I know speech therapists that come and support kids during ELA class, because some people don't a lot of people don't understand and know that speech therapists, yes, they work on speech, but they also work on your reading comprehension as well, because you may have a difficulty understanding language. So they help you with reading comprehension. They help you with not writing, but understanding like what it is you're writing, main idea, sequencing things. Like, they work on those particular skills. So you have some speech therapists, they will have their speech session during ELA, and they're supporting the kid during maybe reading time or while they're in school. So it was very interesting. It was very interesting. And I'm just like, but like, even when she was telling me, I'm like, that sounds like it's illegal. But I said, let me do some research and I'll get back to you. And I was just like, how disheartening can that be for a parent? You already have this diagnosis that it may be difficult for you to just grasp and fully wrap your mind around it. And then you have someone over here that don't want your kid there anyway.
Yeah, that is sad, because, and then on top of that, I wouldn't even want my kid there, because then you're not going to treat him right anyway. But but to say that was wrong, because they can't do that. They have the city of Pennsylvania has the expulsion and expansion. I hope I'm saying it right, but it's law where you can't put children out of daycares for their disabilities or their behaviors. So that's one.
Right. Unless it's like something, again, it's like, unless it's something very, very major that's causing, that is I would say that is what's the word I'm looking for? If it's interfering, with their well-being, the well-being of others, it's like, people have to understand about that too. Like, okay, if the safety of other children are really being, are they, being, of course, yes. Then it's like, yes, this is not the place for them. Or they have some severe needs. It's like, okay, I don't have enough here for them. It's
I
like,
understand.
people have to, okay, you got to look at those two. But I'm like, if neither one of those pertain to you, you're in the middle. You're able to.
That would be like one particular family contacted me, and the child was in a wheelchair. I don't have, my daycare is located in my basement, so I don't have no way for the child to get transported up and down the steps if we go out on a walk, or just up and down to maneuver around. And my space is not that wide enough for the child to maneuver around in their wheelchair. So that would be a barrier.
Right. So then it's like, right, in your case, it's like, you know what? I can't. I have a major barrier that I can't. I don't have it. I'm in a basement. Perhaps if I was upstairs, it'd be different.
Mhm.
If my whole house was my daycare facility, that would be
Mhm.
very different. So that's a prime example what you just gave.
Mhm.
You might have somebody, oh, I can't. Your daycare is upstairs. Like your your daycare is upstairs.
It's
Oh, you know
right
what I
there.
mean? Your daycare is right there. It's
Mhm.
right. They can get in. You know. So it's like, well, what would you say? We talked about the problem. So what would you say is the solution to this problem? And do you have the solution to the problem?
The solution to the problem is education. I believe that if you're working in the field of education, children that are coming into your program has various disabilities, whether it be autism, Down syndrome, and various disabilities. So you have to educate yourself uh, in realms of the whole child, not only just your neurotypical child. You have to learn about all children across the spectrum. And I do, and I'm currently working on the solution. Different expectations, educational services will be rolling out very soon a package where I come into childcare facility programs and train the teachers how to work with children that are on the autism spectrum. I'm also going to help with room arrangements, how to provide accommodations and modifications to your lesson plans. So be on the lookout for that because it's coming out very soon. And not only that, but in the meantime, I feel like early childhood educators need to learn about autism and other various disabilities that children have so that you won't be turning these children away, because I feel like they need to be in the natural environment with their peers. How are they going to learn how to be amongst and socialize with their peers if you're constantly telling them, oh no, they can't come here, or you're just not educating yourself and your staff about how to support this child and having the supports in place. So when someone does come, you can say, okay, I have the support, I have the teachers. Do they receive early intervention? Okay, intervention specialists can come into the program. It's all about education. It's all about educating yourself when you're working with children, whether there be autism or is and it's ongoing, especially in this field of education. You're always learning something because something new is always happening or coming about, and you can't stay stuck in the way of how things used to be because everything is evolving.
Sure enough, because the education never ends. Education, especially when it's your child, it never ends because they
Yeah.
go through different stages, and you learn
Hmm.
something new at every like different stage. It's something new going on that can be added.
Yeah.
Now, my last question for you is: now you talked about solution, your packages that you're gonna have coming, going into the child care facilities to train teachers, to train the providers in the facility and help them set up their spaces so
Hmm.
that it is, what's the term I'm looking for?
Inclusive.
It's very inclusive, and I would
Inclusive.
say it meets the needs of various learners because like the example you gave of your son, I don't think people truly understand sensory overload. Like
Mm-mm.
it's
They
one
don't.
thing to have things up on your wall, and then it's another thing to really like it's like you're going overboard
I
now.
cringe.
Now like I'll say I always use this example of going to Primark. Primark is sensory
Oh,
overload for me
it
because
is.
there's something in every nook and cranny of their store. There's something every like you can't see the wall. It's something
Mhm.
covering all the, and it's like, oh my God, this is too much. I feel like there's
Yeah.
something everywhere I turn and look. And I never forget one time I was like, oh my God, I hate for someone to have ADHD and come in here. Like, you know what I mean? Or someone have sensory issues and they come in here.
Mhm.
Or not just understanding just visual presentation and just other things like the sounds of things, how
Mhm.
things feel. You got to think of your senses, how
Yes.
things feel to others, to two different students or to someone that has sensory issues. It may
Yes.
not be noise. It could be the certain fabrics. It could be
Smells.
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 It could be, you know what I mean, how they feel on certain things. You know what I mean? It's a lot. How things taste to them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's why certain kids don't like it. It may not be that they don't like that food. They don't like how the texture of that food feels in
Mm-hmm.
their mouth. They don't like it.
Yes.
So being mindful, I think that's great that you're going to be doing that, and I think it's something that is needed.
Yes.
Needed badly. It's needed. Now, what would you say? Um, Katie said, I wish you were down in Maryland. I wish you were
Oh.
down in Maryland. She's in Maryland. She said, I wish you were down in Maryland because they need some help. Hey,
Oh.
she you pay her, you pay her right.
Wait a minute
The
now.
right price. You can pay, she can
I
pay,
know
she
that's
can
right.
pay her right. She can come to Maryland and give support. But
Oh,
you
this
gotta
my goal is to make this worldwide. My goal is to make this worldwide. My goal is to support children to support individuals on the spectrum from children to adulthood. That is my goal. That is my goal. My goal is to support them. One of my goals is also to open up a residential home
okay.
for individuals on the spectrum. Because the one that I was in, though, the one that I worked in years ago, I had nothing bad to say about it. It was beautiful.
Mhm.
They supported the individuals that was there. They had activities. It was just a wonderful program. But the ones that I see now is
In
I'm like,
Philly?
no.
Was that one in Philadelphia?
Yes, it was in Philadelphia. It was
In the
like
Northeast?
what did you say?
Was it in the Northeast?
No, it was in Southwest, like Elmwood,
Oh, okay.
70.
Because normally a lot of the special a lot of the support and agencies are in the Northeast. Is why I said North. Was it in the Northeast?
But this was back in 2006, though. So I
Okay.
don't even know if it still exists, but I was told they do, but they changed the name or something like that. But that
Okay.
particular house that I was in, it was just the atmosphere was great. Like everybody that worked there, they were wonderful, and they support the individuals. And what I see now in these residential homes in North Philadelphia and just West Philadelphia, it's just like mm-mm. I don't the outside of it, the people that I see, and I'm like, are they really supporting them? Like, are they
Mhm.
getting their needs met?
Yep.
My heart just goes out. I have a soft spot for individuals with
Right.
disabilities,
Because
especially.
you understand the struggle, and you're just like, I hope
Yes,
you are really, really taking care of them and
yeah,
helping
them.
them. You know what I mean? And really
Yes.
helping. So, what advice do you have for parents? And it's going to be my last question. What
Mhm.
advice do you have for parents who have a child that has special needs and they have to go to a childcare? They know, like, okay, I have to go to work. I know I need to find a daycare. I know I need to find a childcare. What tips do you have for them, um, for things they should ask for or things they should look for when they are researching childcares and going on? And to my understanding, childcares, you have an interview, right?
Yes,
Okay,
they do
and
a
when
parent
they go to
interview.
these interviews, yes.
Excuse me, they do a parent interview. The first thing you need to look for is their license. Ask to see, which should be posted on their wall, but ask to see it. The next thing you need to ask is how many teachers in your program has credentials? Like,
Mhm.
and will the child, will the teacher that's my child in the class, well, let me get it together. The classroom that my child is in, will the teacher have credentials? Does the teacher have any knowledge or the director have any knowledge about how to support an individual with autism? Also, you're looking for how the teachers treating the children. Are they eye level? Are they meeting the needs? I know children cry, but how long is the children crying before somebody attend to them? You want to also ask about the food. Can you bring, because children with autism, like you just mentioned, have sensory issues. They may not eat the food that is being served. So can I bring in my own food for my
Mm,
child? Because you don't want the child there all day hungry because they're not going to eat the food that's being served because they may not like it.
mhm,
Also is, can the early interventionist specialists come into the program.
Mm-hmm.
Can they come into the program? It was something else I had on the tip of my tongue, because I'm creating a list of questions that parents of autistic children need to ask and have
Oh, okay.
when they go into these facilities, because you want to know about the IEP, IFSP, you want to know
IFSP.
you want to know about the credentials of the teachers, and you also want to know the potty training. That's another thing. Will you potty train my child? If the child is not potty trained, what reinforcements will you use to potty train my child? Like it's a lot of questions that needs to be asked, and you need to have answered before you just push them into this program. Because I understand, yeah, you got to go to work, and you don't want to rush to find a child care program. You want to take your time, and you want to find a program that's fit. And I feel as though parents need to go on the parent interview, go by yourself the first time, and then the second time just say, can I bring my child in? He's not staying, we just gonna walk around so he can get a feel of what's going on, because this is a new environment to him. So I want to show him will be while mommy's at work. So you want to do that. You want them to allow you to bring, I say go by yourself at the parent interview, because so the child won't distract you.
Okay.
So there won't be no distractions at the interview, and you have the director and the teacher's full attention. Because if your child is there, they're going to distract you, and you may forget some things.
Okay. And do you have any recommendations for parents who may need help trying to find early intervention? I keep saying early intervention services. I know you're in the Philadelphia area. Do you have any resources that you can share?
The resources that I can think of off the top of my head would be ChildLink. That's the first
Yeah.
stop. First stop is ChildLink. You go through ChildLink to get the early intervention services, and then the early intervention services providers would be the Center for Autism, Ken Crest. You have Spin, early in who else is it? You have Elwin. It's another one. Oh my goodness.
You talking about the ARC? No,
Oh my goodness.
not the ARC.
It's a sister. She has early intervention services. Her name is Layla Way. She has Layla's Way. She does more behavioral health, like ABA, but that is is also early intervention services. It's a it's a lot. But I know off the top of my head is the Center for Autism.
Do you like Eastern Seals or no?
Oh yeah, Eastern Seals. They do early intervention services. What did I say? Spin.
Oh, Spin.
I said Spin. A Center for Autism. Elwin. Layla's Way. Who else? I'm missing somebody.
Layla's.
I know I just named at least
Spell
five.
it with a Y, LAY.
No, LAI.
Okay.
I'm trying to think.
I think that's all I can think. That's all I remember.
I feel like I'm missing one though.
I think that's all I remember. Oh, we have a comment. It says, I do pop up during the parent interview. I usually show up earlier to see the center in its natural setting. I learned the hard way that centers will make things look good if they know you are coming.
Yeah.
An early intervention mom in Maryland. Ooh, that is a biggie. Yeah. Pop-up visits.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie, for that. I would definitely recommend that too.
I'm glad she brought that up, because I would do that. I would do that all the time when my son was in Elwin and Seedlings. He was there a year, and I would just do pop-ups, because they had the big windows. I mean, you could just look in the classroom. Never knew when I was coming. I would just pop up different times, different dates. I would just pop up. And I wouldn't let him see me, but I want to see what he doing, what the teacher was doing. Sometimes he would be in a one-on-one session, and they would have the, what do you call those things? The screens around. But I was still able to like go in a classroom and just listen in. listening and just hear what was going on, because I couldn't see. I didn't want to peep over the screen and allow him to see me, but yes,
Right.
I'll pop-ups all the time.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Katie. That's a biggie. Cause like even just think about when you're moving, you pop up around the neighborhood just to see how it
Yes,
just to see how it is. Do the same thing when you're going for school for your child, childcare for your child, like research. Drive
yes,
around, you know how you drive around your neighborhood at night because you want to see what it looks. Pop up at
yes.
different times. See what it's like in the
Yeah,
morning.
pop-up.
See what it like is at
Definitely.
dismissal when they're leaving. See what it's like at nap time.
Yes.
Is everybody like, oh, are there big kids up awake bothering other children? Go see.
During
Um,
nap times, a lot of times you have children that children are not required in my program. They are not required to go to sleep, but you do have to have like a quiet activity for them so they don't disturb the children that are sleeping.
okay. All right. So Thomasina, thank you so much. Can you tell the audience where they can find you, follow you, contact you?
You can find me on okay, so I have a YouTube channel, TikTok. I rarely be on TikTok, but TikTok,
Ooh.
YouTube, Instagram, and
I
Facebook.
didn't
And
know you was on TikTok
yes,
now.
I'm
Okay.
on.
You dabbling in the TikTok world.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're all the same name, is different underscore expectations. You can also look on my website at different expectations childcare.com. Be on the lookout for, and if you go on what is that, Instagram, you can hit my link in the bio, and it is my YouTube channel with some of the things that's up there. um what else do I have to say? I have a nonprofit organization called Tar Here's Village. I think the link is in the different expectations bio as well. And you can be on the lookout for I have to make some tweaks to the what was it? Tweaks to oh my god, what is it called? The
Your
questionnaire
freebie?
that I have.
Your freebie?
The freebie, yes, the
You want me
questionnaire
to
that I'm
share
going
that or
to give.
no? You want me to share it or no?
No, I can't because I gotta
Okay.
change it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
I
I,
have
I
to
still
change
have
it.
I still have the link. I still have
Yeah,
the
I
link.
have to
All
make
right.
some changes to that, but it's going to help you on your childcare journey, looking for childcare for children that are on the spectrum. And
All
be on the
right. All
lookout
right.
for my package that I'll be giving out. I'm not giving out, but presenting to y'all soon. I'm not
We
giving it
we
out.
not we're not working for free. We're not working for free. We're not
No,
working
I'm not giving it out.
for free.
Oh, I also have a book. How could I forget? Oh my God.
Yes.
I have a book. Can y'all see that? Wait.
Move it over. Right there. Right there. There you go. There you go. Picture this.
Okay.
Picture that.
Picture this, picture that is a story about Tahir, 4-year-old nonverbal child that's in a childcare setting, and his speech therapist comes to visit him, and how he interacts with his neurotypical peers. And I also have a We Are Courageous journal, and this is for families, parents, caregivers of children with various needs, various disabilities.
And you have
What?
your box.
Oh my God! I don't even
Come
have that in
on.
front of
Come
me.
on. Come on.
The sensory box. I have a sensory box that goes along with the picture this, picture that book, with different sensory items in it. And see, this book, let me hurry up real quick. This book, is this the right one? Oh, I don't know if this. Oh, it don't have it, but it has the picture cards. It has the picture cards in here, and the sensory box comes with the picture cards. You only can get the picture cards in the sensory box.
Yes. So
That's
Thomasina has a
exclusive.
sensory box. She has her picture this, picture that book. She has her journal. She has her daycare, her
Yes,
child care center. She
the
has her nonprofit
nonprofit
Tahir's Village.
organization. Yes,
She's doing so much, and she's putting her consulting
yes,
services together so that way she can come to these different daycares and child care centers to train the
yes,
teachers on how to support children with special needs, especially children on the spectrum, and also how you can set up your space so that
yes.
it is very inclusive and it's
Exclusive.
not and it won't be a sensory overload situation for the students.
Oh,
So
and can I share that I just
please.
won our award? Different Expectations Childcare won the Pennsylvania Equity Early Childhood Champion award for
Excuse me.
2020. Yes, for
Excuse me.
2020.
Excuse me.
I won honorary what is it? Honorable mention. I didn't win gold or silver, but I was honorable mention. So
Hey, that's still a win. That's still a
yes,
win.
it's
A win is
definitely
a
a win
win.
for the whole tri-state area of Pennsylvania. Yes, I'm proud
Yes,
of myself.
absolutely. I'll be proud of I'm proud of you. I'm always proud of everything that you do. So yes, so thank you so much for coming on. I greatly,
You're
greatly, greatly
welcome.
appreciate it. Remember, everybody, please share this live. I know there is a lot. We talked about a lot of different information. Please share it. If you are watching the replay, do hashtag replay so I know you're watching it on a replay. And remember, come to my page tomorrow. I am launching my ebook, Master the IEP, Volume 1, A Beginner's Guide to the IEP. So excited about it. I'm going to come on live for a little bit. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to answer some questions. And then, hey, you going to click that link. You're going to buy my ebook and you're going to be just sharing it with everybody. So, yes. Make sure you come to my page tomorrow, 6 p.m. Thank you all so much. Have a good night.
Good night. Assalamu alaikum.
So, in the broadcast.